Hey, this is Mitch from FitFigureBootCamp.com, and I'm here with another Ask Mitch Monday edition. And I titled this one cleverly, Majoring in the Minors. Actually, I heard it online and I thought it was great. It was like a quote that stuck with me. So I want to go over what it is to major in the minors, okay? On the left-hand side, there's a million of these little sentences and questions that I can come up with, but here are some of the things that people spend a lot of energy and time on when it comes to fat loss, body toning, weight loss, getting in the best shape of their life, body transformations. And these are the minor points, okay? These points are very important, true, and all of these have a role. But without understanding and majoring in the majors, all of this chit-chat and talk is it's a waste of time. In other words, you can do all the things over here in the minors, but if your major stuff isn't under control, then this isn't going to do anything, okay? This is like a additive supplement. This is like getting into nitpicking. This is like the details of a house, and this is, the major stuff is the actual bricks of your house, the foundation, okay? Without a foundation, all this stuff I'm about to say is pointless. So let's just go over what it is to major in the minors. Here's the kind of things that I hear, I get asked about a lot, that, again, all play a role. I'm not going to address the answers here, but check it out. Is it better to eat organic or not organic? How much organic? 50% organic? Questions like that. I didn't write this down, I just thought of it right now. Fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables in the grocery section? Which is better? Again, not going to address the answers to these questions, but they're all minor things, okay? Should I eat low fat or should I eat high fat? Should I have medium carbs, low carbs, zero carbs? Should I eat 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day, or 3 meals a day? Should I eat 2.5 hours apart, 2 hours apart, 3 hours apart, 4 hours apart? Okay, you see where I'm going here? These are like detailed little questions that are important and you can address, but they're not like the foundation of what it is to live healthy, train smart, eat healthy, and feel fit and look fit, okay? Splenda or Truvia? Vegetarian, not vegetarian, partial vegetarian, ovo-lacto vegetarian, okay? No food 2 hours before bed, an hour before bed, or 3 hours before bed. Is detoxing good? For how long? For a week? For 7 days? That's the same. For a week? For 10 days? For 2 days? For 2 weeks? For 30 days? What about shakes? What's the best kind of shake? What's the worst kind of shake? You see what I'm saying? I'm like saying this like funny on purpose because this is what people get caught up with without focusing on the major stuff, okay? How about fasting? For how long? What about intermittent fasting? Have you ever heard of that? How about only water for a couple of days? I know I can live like a long time with no food, but as long as I have water, can I just do that for a week and lose weight? I've heard cinnamon is good for fat burning. I've heard peppermint is good for fat burning. Which pills should I take? What's the best fat burner? What's the best vitamins? How many vitamins do I take? Is high intensity cardio better than long steady state of cardio? So you see how this is like minor stuff, okay? We could go on, for months and talk about these tweaking things, but if you don't have, and let's move over to the major issues in your head taken care of, then all of your mental energy and time spent wasting your time thinking about this stuff is pointless. Why don't we just narrow in and focus on the 3 or 4 major things? That's all you have to worry about. All of this other stuff can just be like a tweaking to, get your body to be even better than it's going to be if you just focus on this stuff. So see how, there's so many things here. A human being can only focus on so much at one time, okay? So instead of 27,000 questions, what about just like 2 or 3 major things that you need to do and forget about all that, okay? How about this? How about make sure your total calories are under control? Since I think that the best way to lose fat is to take your goal body weight and times it by 10 or 12. And again, it's a rough estimate depending on how much activity you do and where you are right now and how heavy you are. But general rule is, body weight, goal body weight times 10 or 12 for a woman, I think, is a really good place to start. Okay? you really need to understand where you need to be total calories. Because if you're not, weight loss, fat loss is impossible. You can have an answer to all of these things, and if your calories are off, forget about it. It's a done deal. So get your total calories under control. Guess what? Unless you have like 20 years of experience, I have like 20 years of experience in fitness, I don't need to track my calories with hand or on something like MyFitnessPal anymore, because I can just visually see what I'm eating, and I actually track my grams of protein, carbs, and fats in my head. But that's 20 years of doing this, 18 years of doing this, okay? Most people are going to have to track something on MyFitnessPal or Spark People or write it down, okay? MyFitnessPal and Spark People is the best. So get your total calories under control. Just that's one major thing to think about, okay? Just do that every day. Do that for 30 days. You'd be amazed at 4 to 6 or 7 pounds of body weight that's going to come flying off you if you just focus on that and track your food. Forget about 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day. Just get your total calories under control. You could worry about making 3 meals, 6 meals in 3 months when you're on the right track, okay? Second thing is make sure that the total calories have a good balance, okay? Listen, your total calories, let's say, 1,500, you could eat them all from Twinkies. That's bad, okay? And in the same regard, you could have all of your calories from protein and all of your calories from carbs, or all your calories from fat. That's bad. So you want to balance things out. And I've talked about the ratios of macronutrients before and what I think is a good ratio. I think something in the neighborhood, okay, something in the neighborhood of like 40% of your diet carbohydrates, 30% of your diet protein, 30% of your diet fat is a rough, good zone type place to start. Some people might need to flip-flop that 5 or 10 percentage points. Maybe they need 40% protein and only 30% carbs and 30% fat. Maybe they need 25% fat. But it's going to be somewhere around that, okay? And you're going to have to play with it. Again, something you have to track, okay? This is the major leagues, okay? This is why it's difficult, and people always go to this, because this is untrackable. And if people mess up, then they don't take responsibility for this, because how can you track cinnamon? You can't. You can track it and say, hey, where's your food journal? You don't have it? Well, then you're in trouble. So your total calories, get it under control. Make sure your balance is good, okay, percentage-wise as far as your macronutrients go. Train, 30 to 60 minutes, 2 to 4 times a week doing resistance training. That's hiring a personal trainer. That's boot camp type stuff. That's circuit training. That's high intensity stuff. That's ropes. That's bands. That's dumbbells. That's body weight exercises, machines. Okay? And most of my boot campers do train 2 to 3 times a week, and some of you train even 4. So that's great. You pretty much have that locked up. Okay? And then lastly, check this out. Do as little cardio as you need to produce a result. Isn't that a great sentence? Do as little cardio as you need to produce the result. Okay, if you're eating right and you're training hard and you're losing body fat and feeling great, then there's really zero need to do cardio. Your heart is healthy from your training, and your heart is healthy from your food, and you're producing a result. If you find that you want to accelerate it, okay, your results, or something's just not happening, like you hit a plateau, which is, it happens to everybody, every 6 to sometimes as little as 3. But let's say every 6 or 8 weeks or so, you're going to hit like a plateau where like the body weight just doesn't move, okay? You're going to add a little bit of cardio. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one to do because it's majoring in the minors, but I'm just saying you add something, but you got to track it. Let's say you add 2 days a week of cardio of 20 minutes of sprints. Hey, if that works, then there's no need to add any more. But in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, if you hit another plateau, then guess what? You're going to have to tweak something. Either add another day of cardio, or maybe cut your calories by 10%. The point I'm trying to make is that when you major in the majors, you've got to track stuff, okay? Just like you're in school. You've got to track stuff, because when you track stuff, you're giving yourself 100% accountability and responsibility, okay? You can't blame anyone else for not losing weight or body fat if you're focusing on this and you're not focusing on this. Because you can't help yourself if you don't track things. I can't help you if you don't track things. No one can help you. No book can help you if you don't track things. And again, what's really cool about this is that when you do track your food, your macros, how often you train, and how much cardio you do, it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you and making small, little, tiny adjustments that will produce a result. That's what's wonderful about majoring in the majors. This stuff right here, you know, who's to say if you eat 4.5 meals a day or 6 meals a day that you're going to lose weight or lose body fat? Maybe you can eat 4 meals a day and you lose body fat. Everyone's a little bit different, but where everybody's the same, okay, is when it comes to tracking your calories. I'm not saying everyone needs the same caloric intake, but I'm saying everyone who tracks what they eat, how much they train, and how much cardio they do knows exactly from what they have tracked what their result is. Okay? You're just like a scientist, and you go into the lab. You mix this with this, you know, and it doesn't produce the result, then you mix something else with this until you get the result that you want, okay? And then you make little tiny tweaks to get the ideal situation. Just focus on majoring in the majors and don't be that person who majors in the minors and asks all these questions, but when I ask you something like, have you tracked your calories? The answer is no. Or do you know if you've trained 8 times this month or 12 times this month? And your answer is, I don't know. Or, hey, have you ever tracked how much cardio you're doing? Maybe you need 100 minutes a week of cardio. Maybe you need 150 minutes a week of cardio. And your answer is always, if your answer is always something like that, or I'm not sure, then your results are probably not going to be what you want. But the cool thing is, all this chit-chat and all this stuff, you can just like forget about it and just zero in. Food, total calories with the proper balance. Do that for 30 days, you'll be amazed. Train 2 to 4 times a week, the right way, resistance training, and only if you feel those 2 things aren't producing a result, add as little cardio as you need to produce a result. Those are literally like the only 3 things, because I consider good balance and total calories one. Those are the only 3 things you ever need to focus on in order to have the body that you want. So get rid of all that long sort of sentence, a million things, fads, potions, lotions, people throwing things at you and telling you what to do. Just focus on this first. If you focus on this first and you never popped a pill or a vitamin in your entire life, or had cinnamon, or had a fat burner, or ate organic, you would be in the best shape of your life ever. You'd be as lean as you want, you'd be as healthy as you want, you'd live till 100 and you'd live a long time if you focused in on this. Okay, so get rid of the confusion, keep it as simple as possible, and major in the majors and don't major in the minors. Okay, this is Mitch Lee rambling from FitFigureBootCamp.com. Trying to keep your mind focused on what matters most, and it's the stuff over here, not the stuff over here. Talk to you soon.